Hello there and welcome back to the channel. This is Mel's Gaming here with another Sea of Thieves video. Now this video is just going to be a quick little review of the new content that's been added today with Season 4. Now I have already done a video going over everything in the new Season Pass, in the Plunder Pass, everything in the Emporium, all of that stuff. I've already got video going over it. I also already have a video up on the channel of us doing one of the new Siren treasuries, so if you want to see that, make sure to go and check that out. But this is basically just going to be a little bit of an overview of what we've experienced today whilst playing the new update, and basically how it plays, how it feels, is it worth it, all of that kind of stuff. Now, there are two new types of area in Sea of Thieves now. There are the shrines and the treasuries. The shrines are sort of more of a passive area, with the treasuries being almost like an underwater fort with waves of sirens and the ocean crawlers that you will have to fight in order to get the loot at the end, which is kind of fun. It is fun, but some of the combat underwater really leaves a lot to be desired. It feels a bit odd and it's just not that easy to control. At least I didn't find it that easy to control playing on controller. So that was a little bit less fun, but the underwater areas themselves are really, really beautiful. Rare have done a very good job of making the environments very pleasing to look at, and also the sound design of these areas is really, really nice. However, the loot that you can get from these is nothing too extraordinary. It is new loot in the fact that it's coral encrusted, which is really nice to look at, but it really doesn't pay all that well once you take it back up to the surface. You know, there's probably going to be more worth at a normal fort, which is kind of a shame considering there is a lot of risk in leaving your boat completely exposed up on the top of the water. You can't even tell if there's someone up there trying to attack it. Of course, it's probably fair to assume there is someone. Out of the two things that we did, at one of those two times we were being attacked, so it's kind of a fair guess to say that they're probably being attacked. But you can see here the treasures that you get from the shrines and from the treasuries you can store safely at a Merfolk statue, and then they can be retrieved back on the surface. Now, what's really, really nice about this is once you have stored them within the statue, you can retrieve them on the surface at any time. You don't have to do it immediately, and it isn't as soon as you pop back up on the boat or on the surface that the loot just spawns. You actually have to interact with an NPC Merfolk and get your loot to spawn in. So if there is someone up there spawn camping, you can just wait for them to go away and come back and claim your loot, which is something we had to do after the treasury that we did. And that is a really nice touch from Rare, considering, as I mentioned, that you have to leave your boat completely exposed. Unless, I guess, you're on a galleon of 4, but then you're leaving someone up there alone, and if another galleon comes, then there's not a whole lot they can do about it anyway. Now, as I mentioned, you will be getting all your loot from a Merfolk on the surface. You can see here that they'll be very easily seen by the flare that they're carrying, and you basically just go over to them in the water and interact with them, and then you will get them to spawn your loot, which is really nice. This means you can just check that there's no other players about and then actually get it to spawn, which is really, really cool. Also, really nice character design on the Merfolk. There was like various different Merfolk people, which was cool to see. But yeah, so then your loot will just spawn all the way around the Merfolk and you can just harpoon it onto your boat and be away with it. Now, as I mentioned, a lot of this loot isn't incredibly valuable. The most valuable things are things like the captain's chests, as you'd expect, and the Siren Heart gems, which are really, really nice. I like the Siren Heart gems a lot. They are emerald, ruby, and sapphire, the same as the mermaid gems that we're used to collecting on the surface, just with a slightly different name, basically. But you're going to see us here selling the loot from one of these shrines that we did, and actually it almost seemed like we got more chests and stuff from this particular shrine than the treasury that we did. It felt like we got a little bit more loot, but it probably was just more things like the collector's chest and the marauder's chests, which again in and of themselves aren't really worth a lot, so it looks like more but isn't really worth more, sort of thing. But yeah, you can see that the villainous skulls also are really, really good, but a lot of the loot is small stuff like the silver cups and the golden reliquies and the different ornate pieces and stuff for the gold hoarders. There are new items for the Merchant Alliance, things like this coffer of aged grog. There's a few different of these sort of new items here for the Merchant Alliance. Various different items, they've got different names, but they all look like this, sort of a square container that you can give to them, and yeah, it's not worth a lot, as you can see. None of them paid any more than about 400. I think the most was actually like 320 something gold, which is a real shame because the Merchant Alliance really doesn't give a lot of money for a lot of things. So I was hoping that maybe this would be something that would actually be valuable to them, but unfortunately it is just another small item for them, not really that special at all. So in terms of money grinding, I wouldn't really recommend doing these. There's probably much more efficient ways that you could do it. Doing Athena's quests would probably even be more efficient. But it is fun, and it is, as I mentioned, it's a really nice experience to play through it. It's different to be fighting ocean crawlers and sirens rather than skeletons at a fort, but I feel like a fort would probably give you more value. But then again, the treasury that we did only took, I think, like 15 minutes. It really wasn't a long fight at all when I looked at it back in editing. So for the time, it was probably about worth what it paid out. But if you want to do something for a lot of money, this probably is not the way to go, unfortunately. But again, there you can see another coffer going to the Merchant Alliance, not worth a very, very large sum at all. But there are new items, as for all of the trading companies. There's new items that go to the Gold Hoarder, to the Order of Souls, and to the Merchant Alliance. Most of them are just the coral encrusted stuff, apart from the Merchant Alliance coffers, which are a completely new item. But yeah, it's basically the same stuff, but with coral on it. And the Merchant Alliance, we give them the gems, and the gems do pay really nicely. If you can get a few of those, that's kind of what makes it worth it. As well as, of course, Villainous Skulls and the Captain's Chests. But other than that, not worth it very much for the money. So, in summary, it's a nice update, it's something new to do in the world, but it's definitely not something that you would want to do in passing because, as I mentioned, leaving your boat exposed, if you've already got loot on board, there is literally no point in just leaving it because it will most likely get taken by another player whilst you are under the water. It's nice if you want to go and do something new in Sea of Thieves and try and get all of the stuff from the new shrines to, there's a new quest that you can get from Lariana, the lady outside the pub for the bilge rats. If you complete something to do with getting all of the information from the shrines, which I imagine are going to be like the books that you can interact with and read. I've still yet to go through and do all of those, but I'm guessing that's most likely what it is based off of the note. Again, I do actually show off the note that you get when you spawn in after this update, actually in my video where I go through all of the new season pass stuff, so if you want to see what that note says, make sure to head over to that for literally exactly what it says. But in summary, if you do all of the shrines, get all of the information, and complete them 100%, you can go back to Lariana. She'll give you a special quest, which I believe is going to be for one of the Breaths of the Sea. Now, that is another thing that you can do with the shrines, is that if you are lucky enough to find a coral-encrusted message in a bottle on a beach, then you will get a special quest to go and find the Breath of the Sea, which is an item that, based off of Rare's trailer, is worth between 4,000 and 5,000, which isn't too bad, but maybe not great for going on a whole quest specifically for that item. I know that there's, quests that we can do to go and get something worth a lot more than that. So it looks like it would be fun to try and do that if you want to do sort of a completionist route, but other than that, not probably worth it for the money, as I've mentioned before. So yeah, good update, good fun to do with friends, something new to do with friends, but not worth it for the money making. So yeah, I hope that this has been somewhat informative. Sorry if I have repeated myself a couple of times there at all, but yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you're going out to play the new update, I hope you enjoy it, and hopefully you'll have nice quiet sessions without too many people spawn camping those areas. And yeah, thank you very much for watching.